trick right, and she is very much in the game, and she has been there, done that. So do you think the chances for Anuja thereby are pretty good?
Definitely, Gunit obviously understands how the entire system works. But at the same time, Gunit is not alone with that. There are other people also who understand the system really well. And there are people who are actually living in Los Angeles, every day, rather than Gunit going over there for a month and campaigning for her film. So the people who are actually living in Los Angeles have got a huge advantage because they're meeting these peers on a regular basis. They are socializing with them on a regular basis, working with them. Gunit may be working with them on one or two films, but these are people who are working with.
I must stop us for a second and say we're forgetting that Mindy Kaling is also backing this project, and Mindy has deep roots in LA, in Hollywood. She's someone who goes back decades, so they do have that, luckily. Can I just very quickly take a second and tell our audiences a little bit about how voting works for this award? So the best film, and we're not talking about live action, which is what Anuja's in for. The best film, which is the biggest award for the night, is voted for differently from the rest of the awards. It's ranking preferential order, which means that unlike the other awards where members of the Academy are going in and placing their vote, here you actually go in and you say which film you think most deserves to win, second, third, fourth. So you're ranking it, and ultimately that arithmetic is done. It's done so that sometimes when there's a tiebreaker, that tiebreaker can be settled. It's a complicated system, and it's one that's led to surprising upsets, which is what makes this category such an interesting one to watch and to actually take a look at. Ricky, if we could just come back to you to ask you one more question here. A lot said about the diversity and inclusion element in the Academy over the last few years. That's something we've been touching on. In the last few years, the Oscars were called out, as the Grammys were too, for being an organization that just didn't have enough representation. And we saw the haul that the entire rehaul that the Grammys did. The Academy did the same thing. How have you seen it? Do you think these kind of changes make a difference, or do you think it takes a few years for that kind of change to actually filter into award choices?
For long-lasting change, this has to happen over a couple of years, and it has to be an evolutionary process itself. I believe that for the movie industry, it's very important that it starts with the stories itself of, the projects that are being made, where the stories itself need to have diversity and inclusion within them and within the DNA of the stories itself. And that is what will encourage more and more diversity when it comes to casting choices. And also when it comes to executive positions, especially when it comes to the music industry, I've been a huge advocate of diversity and inclusion when it comes to executive positions, because only if there's diversity and inclusion within the executive positions in the music industry that you will see that in the art itself and within the artists itself. So I guess this is what's happening with the Grammys. There's been a huge overhaul, especially when it comes to the voting membership base, and also when it comes to the executive positions. There's a lot of diversity over there, and I see that happening slowly but steadily, even with the Oscars.
And you're just getting away from the diversity bit and talking about the people, the main award specifically, the best film. So far, we have not yet, and I was just talking to Toya about it, that we've not yet gotten to discussing about Conclave. What do you think are the chances for this particular film? We were talking about how the voting category is and the process is completely different when choosing the best film at the Academy Awards. Where do you think the chances of Conclave really lie, Ricky?
I'm a huge Ralph Fiennes fan, a huge Ralph Fiennes fan, and I would really like to see him win, even though I do not think his chances are really high.
Yeah.
But I would really like to see him win this award because the guy's one of the best actors that we've ever seen in history, I would say.
He's Voldemort for many of us. I do want to remind our audiences.
Yeah. I did get you?
That he's Voldemort for many. Indian audiences will recognize him as Voldemort.
Yeah. So he's most famous for that, but he's been good in every single film that he's ever done. I really wanted him to win for Constant Gardener the year that he was nominated, but unfortunately he did not. But he's absolutely brilliant. And if you look at films which are made about these conclaves and these and these popes, like for example Two Popes was mildly successful at the Oscars. So one can look at that as being a benchmark. But I would say Conclave. That I would really like Conclave to win, but I don't think it is going to win.
What about Adrian Brody and Brutalist? The last time, of course, he went up the Oscar stage to win the Best Actor in 2003. It ended up in a huge controversy. Yes, it was a huge controversy. So, what do you think is going to happen this time around? How are his chances?
I think it'll be a great comeback if he wins. Because there were a couple of years in the last decade that he was actually written off completely.
Yeah.
I think he's a great actor. I think he did a fantastic job with The Pianist. Couple of other films also he's been absolutely fantastic. I think he was great in The Brutalist too. So I think there's a lot of competition. I'm also very confused as to who I want to win the Best Actor category. I think Adrian Brody is also fantastic, and I would be very happy if he wins too.
And there's a little, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
There's a little sound controversy associated with that film. And since we are talking to you, Ricky, the AI controversy with The Brutalist, do you think that is in any way going to weaken the chances for the film?
I don't think so, actually, because now people have started looking at AI as being a tool for bettering the art itself. So I think people are just going to ignore that controversy. I don't think people are going to take that to heart.
Okay, Ricky, stay with us. I do want to tell our audiences, so we've talked, let's walk very quickly through all the nominees for Best Film. You have Emilia Perez, which we've talked no end about. A Complete Unknown, which is the film on Bob Dylan that stars Timothée Chalamet. Conclave, which is what we just talked about. It's the film about how a new pope is selected. I'm Still Here. There's The Substance. I'm sorry, I confused the two films, but I'm Still Here is the one that we talked about earlier. The Substance, Dune Part 2, of course, that did very, very well in India if you look at the box office. You have Wicked, that we've again spoken a lot about. You have Anora, a beautiful small film that we at least seem to be placing our bets on. You have The Brutalist, and the other film we haven't talked about yet, Nickel Boys.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't talked about Nickel Boys at all, and we'll talk a little bit about it on the other side. It's the dark horse in this race. It's a complete dark horse, but a beautiful, very experimentally made film. We'll see you in just a few minutes on the other side.
Brought to you by GeoBP Fuel with active technology.
MDH का किचन किंग किचन में हो तो हम सब कुछ बना सकते हैं। बैंगन का भरता, आलू गोभी, भिंडी मसाला और भी बहुत कुछ।
Like the strongest film right now.
It really is, and it's exciting. The big question obviously is, will Emilia Perez notch in that, it had 13 nominations, will it notch in those numbers? And one thing it seems like everyone has agreed on, the reporters who've joined us, the experts earlier, is that it's possibly lost out on Best Film because of this controversy.
Yes.
So that's still going to be interesting.
But yeah.
So you have Brutalist, I think, that is leading the charge. You have Anora too.
We will also talk about Conclave, because so far nobody is talking about Conclave, surprisingly.
Although it is a tightly made, excellent drama, we'll talk a little bit more about it and just what it's made on, because it's about the process of choosing a pope. It's a very, very interesting film. But we'll see you in just a few moments. The Breakfast Club's coverage of the Oscars continues right here with Griha and I. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
We have just seen how Zoe Saldana has won the award for Best Supporting Actress, given that really, really emotional speech at the Oscar stage. Toya, did it remind you in any way to that speech of Halle Berry's when she won the Best Actor?
Oh, how beautiful. And I love that comparison, because
Yeah.
when she won the award, it was historic, obviously,
Yes.
for different reasons.
Yes.
I think with Halle, we were so excited for her to win, and then she went on. She, of course, looked like a total babe and, had that award in her hand, and it was a tearful speech. Zoe, actually, that comparison between the two of them has been made before. But this, I think, the fact that she chose to highlight a political note, it was very pointed.
Yes.
And to be honest, with our audiences, this is the most you're going to see politics brought in. Politics stays away from the Oscars largely, apart from larger conversations around diversity that we've seen.
If you don't have a Meryl Streep, that is winning the award.
But apart from diversity and inclusion that we've seen such a large conversation around, and we've seen the Oscars address it over the last few years in a big way. But this might be the most symbolic moment in that sense that we might see tonight. So,
but what you have to say, Toya, since we we were on political speeches or anything remotely political that's being said on the Oscar stage, very recently we saw something unprecedented happen at the White House. Do you think any of that would find mention in any way at the Oscars?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I can see your smile right now, but the only reason I don't think so is I think that actors, cinematographers, filmmakers, they work their lives for this moment. So I think even when they do put out a message, they are very calculated and particular that even the message doesn't, overtake their own journey, their story. For someone like Zoe, as we've been talking about, Emilia Perez, and we'll just highlight this for our audiences, Emilia Perez is a film that had 13 nominations. It was, if you just look at the films that have had the most nominations, La La Land, for example, that was just one nomination more. So it went into award season highly awarded. Had this last minute, I shouldn't call it last minute, it's actually lasted months, but this had this huge full-blown controversy play out with the lead actress in the film. And you had Zoe Saldana caught between a rock and a hard place where she had to address those comments. Netflix, the production house, has addressed those comments. But at the same time, obviously, she wanted to see her own campaign be successful. And it has been. She's won every big award in award season and now obviously sealing it.
And a film like Emilia Perez really works for even the Academy, because the Academy earlier was backing, and that explains the nominations that the film has received. An international film, particularly in Spanish, to have made it, and that to the top wins and the
of the Oscars. We're watching them live right now, and you are with us on this journey as we wait for who's going to be winning the top awards of the night. We are just a few moments away. We've entered into the last hour round of the Oscars ceremony. Best Actor, Best Actress, the biggest award of the night, Best Film. Those are the ones we're most excited for right here, and we're bringing you wall-to-wall coverage.
Right.
All right. So what are we going to be doing next, Griha, as we enter into this?
So right now, I am being told that the best documentary has just been announced, No Other Land. What do you have to say about this particular film? Not finding any US distributors and yet making it to the Oscars?
And I believe a very, very heartfelt speech was also given on stage. We will, of course, be sharing all of those details with you in just a few seconds. The other very beautiful thing that just took place, remember the LA area had to deal with fires, and these were widespread, devastating fires over a period of weeks. The kind of loss, not just human, loss of property that was seen across Los Angeles has been huge. And just a few moments ago, the Oscars honored the LA firefighters. So they had all of the representatives from the LA firefighters come onto the stage. And what was really great is sometimes award ceremonies will call up, these people. They'll do these teary sort of grateful things. Here you had them standing on stage and each of them cracked a joke. So it was really, really lovely and just such a nice, sweet way of honoring them. Let's go over to Tatas though to understand
Absolutely.
more.
So Tatas, you tell me what all happened there, because we have seen in the past award ceremonies, especially this year, because LA has been raked with these wildfires. We've had all the firefighters either occupying the front rows at the award ceremonies, whether it is the Screen Actors Guild Award or the Golden Globes. And this time at the Oscars, it was a very different tribute, so to speak. What was it?
Of course, when you have Conan, the tribute is bound to be very different. So what he did is he invited the frontline officers on stage, and he said that there are some jokes which I don't really have the heart to read out or say out loud. So why don't you, look at the teleprompter and say. So the officer read this particular joke out that, our heart goes out to all those producers who have lost money, when it comes to joke per two. So I think the audiences had a good laugh. Please pardon me, my comic timing is very bad, so it didn't land the way it landed on stage. But yeah, so I think it's really nice, Oscars. It's not the first time though, every time there is an important issue that needs to be talked about, that needs to be addressed, that needs to be sort of, for every conversation that needs to begin, on an important issue, Oscars has always sort of, pushed that out, and it has happened again, which is great, I think. So, yeah.
Can I just share with our audiences also, Tatas, please stay with us. I just want to share with our audiences, The Only Girl in the Orchestra is just won for documentary short. And I want to tell our audiences a little bit about the film, because the film is an incredible film about a double bassist. You can see her on your screens right now. She was the first woman to ever become a full-time member of the New York Philharmonic. And so it's a beautiful film about this one woman's fight to take her music to another level, to perform it for the world. And it's just been heralded with the documentary short. We're continuing to bring you all the coverage live from the Oscars. Vishal, once again, we're coming back to you. And again, we can see, your trackers on. Vishal, you have been calculating the numbers for us. So you have been sharpening your prediction of who you think is going to win Best Film. Last we spoke to you, you told us about the editing award. We just want to tell our audiences that the Oscar for sound goes to Dune Part 2.
Wow.
And we were just talking a little while ago about how beautifully the soundtrack of Dune was crafted. It's a tricky soundtrack. Coming up with sounds for imaginary creatures can never be an easy task. But Vishal, just quickly tell us, how sharp is your calculation getting right now of who's going to win the Best Film? I believe last you told us Anora because of editing.
Well, as predicted, Wicked, of course, took home the Oscar for Best Production Design. It was predicted by everybody. So, as the best song that went to Emilia Perez for Elma, and Darren Warren now finally got his 16th nomination, and we probably wait next year. Probably he'll bag an Oscar for Best Music. But like Dune of course won the award for the best special effects, and Emilia Perez of course now have back two Oscar, one for the best song and one for the best supporting actress, and I think that's a lot of people believe is the journey of Emilia Perez. Here on, it'll be the show between The Brutalist and Anora, and if there's a surprise plan, then it could be Fernanda Torres for the film I'm Still Here, who is going by the latest trend, could be the big surprise of the evening if I'm Still Here wins the best international feature, and she could be a big threat in the best actress category, because if there's a vote split between Mikey Madison and Demi Moore, then it's going to be the benefit Fernanda Torres. She's a Brazilian actor, and Academy hasn't honored a Brazilian film for a long time, and this could be their chance of honoring a Brazilian movie or Brazilian actor. That will of course open doors for Hollywood in Brazil, and she's of course a daughter of a famous Brazilian actress. So a lot to look forward to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, Vishal, we have just had a word that there is another award for Dune 2. So visual effect also is going to Dune 2. So that's another gong in its favor. We, on that note, also would like to once again bring in our guest. Ricky Keth continues to be with us. Also with us is Kunal Kohli, filmmaker, joining us early this morning. Kunal, two awards already to Dune 2, if I'm not mistaken. Were you placing your bets on this film?
Yes, I would, although I have to admit that I didn't see the gentleman speaking before me. I don't have his knowledge on, who is related to who and where his knowledge of, the current scenario of the Oscars. I'm an avid film fan. I make movies. I love watching movies. And I think the Oscars are a really, really important and integral part of all of us. They're like the most inspirational awards. Yes, Dune 2 has been on my list to watch, but I haven't watched it as yet. But I've heard wonderful things about it, and this makes me even want to watch it even more. See, that's another wonderful thing about the Oscars. Some films that you might miss during the year, it just revives your, watch list and makes you want to go and watch those films again. And sometimes you want to reconnect with the film. So I think, it's such a wonderful morning for us and evening for them.
Kunal, there are a few smaller films that, and you were talking about how incredible the Oscars are for smaller films because they can, shine a spotlight on them. Moonlight from a few years ago, I remember, really entered our lexicon when it was highlighted in the Oscars. Any films this time from the lineup of best films that you have seen that you truly think are deserving of the award, particularly the smaller ones? We haven't talked about Nickel Boys. Nickel Boys is a film that's creation. It's the director's choices because it's told entirely in first person. They have really, really been heralded. A film that you've watched, that you've loved, that is in the best film list.
I have unfortunately not watched too many films. They're all on my list. One of them is Anora. I really want to see that because that's creating a lot of buzz. But this is so important because there are sometimes films that come in theaters They might not be the big Marvel and the DCs, and they won't have the studio backings, but they definitely leave a mark with an audience. But sometimes it takes time to leave a mark, you know, and then people discover the film over the year, and then it goes to OTT platforms and subscription platforms, and that's where they get, and it stays in your heart. But what's nice about the Oscars, like you very correctly said, with the smaller films, they give a chance for international distributors to again revisit the film and say, okay, let's try and put these in theaters where we haven't. Parts of Europe, because they always, I don't know why, in 2025 even Europe is sometimes late on their film releases. But they re-release films, the European markets, the Asian markets, and they start doing well. So it is not just an award which is a pat on the back. It even helps business.
Yeah, all we imagine is light. That's exactly what we saw, in that it won its awards, and then when it came back, it's a run. And just seeing, the director engage with people on Twitter to ask them where she should screen it, that was really just, it was the first time I'd seen a director do that. Literally say, which small town should I come show your film in, and I'll do it. Ricky, if we could just get you to come in for a second. We were having the coolest conversation with you a little while earlier on creation of sound design, and you talked about Dune 2, and a few moments later Dune has actually won for best sound. And we're just telling our audiences that Dune had a really, really creative soundtrack. Creating those sounds, what does a imaginary monster make? What sound does it make when it moves through a desert? It's a weird question. How do you get there,
I really want to understand, and to add to what Toya was saying, Ricky, I heard that about, let's say, an A.R. Rahman, that he used to go for his morning walks, for his jogs, and had a little sound device and used to record the sound of a cricket.
Wow.
For that matter. And used to incorporate all of those sounds, those natural sounds, into his music. Is that, all that it takes? This is so interesting.
So the thing is that there are two aspects to what you're talking about. One is sound design, and the other is the score. Now the thing is that with a composer and with an expert like Hans Zimmer, these two worlds are sort of blended in with each other, because when Hans Zimmer takes on a film, he sort of has an overall perspective of the overall soundtrack of a film, which includes sound design, includes the score, and sometimes even includes the dialogue. So he's one of those mastermind type guys who feels that his job does not end with just creating the music of the film. He wants to have an overall perspective of the sound of the film, because he wants the marriage between the sound design, that is the sounds of the creatures, as you mentioned, sounds of the spaceships and all of that stuff, married really, really well with the soundtrack, so that they're not counterpointing each other, but they're working harmoniously with each other beautifully. So that is what happened with this particular soundtrack, because the music was absolutely brilliant. The music was very atmospheric. The music gave a beautiful mood for the movie. It brought out the epicness. At the same time, it brought out even the emotions of the movie. And at the same time, the sound design, it transported us to a different world. Like you had those copters, the sound of that, it really transported you to a world which was not from Earth, And it's the same thing with the worms. When it came to the sounds of the worms, it wasn't a regular sound that you would hear on planet Earth, It was something that was a very manipulated sound, and a sound that was completely original in nature, which would transport you to a different world. So all of these elements, when put together, it brought out the director's vision absolutely beautifully, that this is Arrakis, this is not Earth, this is a completely different world, and the audience needs to be transported to that world in order to be invested into the story.
I love that. Can I just ask, Kunal, can you tell us, when you see Dune, do you feel like it is different from other franchise films?
And can I just interrupt you and get you a quick update? I think we have an upset, because Anuja seems to have lost out this time around as far as the live action short film is concerned. So that's another upset there that's coming in. The only India association that we had seen so far at the Oscars not making it.
And this is a film, as you were telling us earlier, we were talking about that Priyanka Chopra is back, Mindy Kaling has backed, Guneet Monga has backed. It's a beautiful film about two young girls. You can actually catch a trailer, you can even watch it online right now. It's a film about two girls and they're both trying to make it in Delhi. It's a young sister who's the main character. Her older sister is trying to help her. It actually starts with a heartbreaking scene in which, she works in in a factory. She's offered a scholarship, and the person who runs the factory says, no, I still want to use her. I don't want to let her go. So it's a heartbreaking film about realities in India. And unfortunately, it hasn't made it.
Yeah. Kunal, your thoughts? What do you think did not work for Anuja?
My God, that's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
It's like, we've suffered this heartbreak so many times. I mean, it happened even, we go way back to Lagan. I think Bandit Queen was one film that we could have won. It was a slam dunk for us, but there were other factors that didn't let it even go for the Oscars. Yeah, I mean, it's, though I have a lot of respect for the Oscar ceremony, and I have a lot of respect for the process. But ultimately, it's just, people sitting there, the Academy, how many people you can reach, how you get them to watch your film, their perspective. Sometimes they just don't get what we are saying. Our world is so different. Sometimes we laugh and joke about what we call first world problems. Those are so, those are genuinely their problems. We might laugh at them and say, oh, that's a first world problem. If you reverse that, they just don't understand our references, our struggles, because of which sometimes our cinema suffers.
And yet, an Elephant Whisperers did end up winning the Oscars, Kunal. So don't you think there is a different sort of a perception of India now, what people want to see on the global stage? It's no longer probably the poor stories that are coming in from the country. Do you think that is where it lacks?
I hope it's not, because, the Elephant Whisperers again goes back to, not Land of Snake Charmers, not that bad, but it's still, not the, it's still not the vision of India that, or the India that we all live in. So it's, and please don't take that statement the wrong way. It's not,
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, but I just believe that, sometimes a piece of art connects with the voting members, sometimes it does not. It's as simple as that. Because now, like, if you look at the Grammys, the first 3 nominations that I got for the Grammys, I won all 3. And then the 4th one, I got nominated, that is this year, and I did not win. And I felt that that was my best work to date. But at the same time, I do acknowledge that it did not connect with the voting members. And that's the reason why, I could not garner the votes to actually win in that particular year. So I guess it's all about connecting with the audiences through the culture, through the traditions, whatever it is. Sometimes they do not connect, sometimes they connect. And if you connect, then you win. That's all.
And even they see your work, like Jeho is not Rahman's finest.
Yes, that's something we all said when Jeho made it to the Oscars. All of us Indians sitting here, we were like, "Arey, this is not, our favorite Rahman track."
That does not represent.
Exactly, and sometimes the Academy voters,
Rahman. It will not come in his top 10. It won't come in his top 20. So yeah, but
Ricky, go ahead.
Sometimes that's the beauty of it, because sometimes what happens is that voting members, what I have seen is that they look at body of work at times. They see whether the person itself deserves, an Oscar or a Grammy, and they vote according to that. Many times that happens, because I've seen that happening where they do not look at the individual work itself. Sometimes they see that, this person, it's now their time to win. Like what happened with Leonardo DiCaprio with Revenant.
Yeah.
And even if you look at the year when, do you remember the year when Quiz Show, Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, and Forrest Gump were nominated the same year?
All brilliant
Forrest
films.
Gump won because...
Yes.
Yeah, and all became iconic films, all became cult classic movies. But Forrest Gump won that year because everybody felt that it was Robert Zemeckis' time.
I just want to tell our audiences, so Kunal, Ricky, we'll ask both of you to stay with us for a second. The In Memoriam segment has just played out, and it started actually with a tribute to Gene Hackman, who, remember, passed away in a horrific manner. We don't have all the details. Him, his partner, his pet were all found dead a few days after. So a tribute was just paid to him. The In Memoriam segment is on right now. Stay with our coverage live of the Oscars here on The Breakfast Club, and we're just going to share with you something. A tribute played just a few moments ago, paid to the LA firefighters. Remember, LA suffered horrific wildfires, and this was a gorgeous tribute that just took place on the stage. Take a look.
Talking about the LA wildfires, in fact, Toya, we had the host, Conan O'Brien, call in all the
They
firefighters.
were very beautiful, yeah.
It's very interesting that his house in Palisades just somehow got saved of the fire. So many people in LA, in the film industry, in Hollywood, have really suffered a lot because on part of the wildfires. In fact, there was a lot of talk on whether or not the Academy Awards should go on as planned. They did not eventually change the date from March 2nd, but there was a great demand that the show be pushed. That is how huge and impactful these wildfires have been for the people associated.
For the creatives, we were just showing out those visuals. Ricky, if we could actually have you speak on this, because you were talking a little bit about the importance of the LA community to Hollywood and to the Grammys and to both the music and the Hollywood industry, just how important LA is. Help us understand that sitting here in Delhi.
So I was very happy that both the Grammys and the Oscars did not get postponed. I was there at the Grammys this year. And of course, they also put out a beautiful tribute to the firefighters and to the resilience of the Los Angeles community. The Grammys is held downtown in Los Angeles. The downtown was not affected by the fires. Right. And the Oscars is held at the Dolby Theatre, which is in Hollywood. Even that area was not as badly affected as the other areas of Los Angeles. But at the same time, I think it's very important that these two shows carried on simply because of the jobs that these shows create and how much it impacts the economy in a positive manner. And this is a time when people need the jobs most and when hotels need revenue most. Also, I remember the head of the Grammys Academy, that is the Recording Academy, had said that hotel occupancy at that particular point of time during the Grammys and even during the Oscars was just at about 30%. So which means that the hotels needed the business. You know, they needed the business. They needed people to come in from different parts of the world and fill up the hotels and reinvigorate the economy of Los Angeles. So I love it, and I love the joke that the gentleman made, the firefighter. He said that, my heart goes out to everybody who has lost their homes in Los Angeles, especially the producers of the Joker 2 movie. So that was really funny. But nevertheless, it's good to have a light-hearted moment with them, and it's good to acknowledge the beautiful contributions that the firefighters have brought into controlling the fires in LA, which have devastated so much of the industry.
Right. In talking about presenters, since they were the interesting presenters, one of the presenters at the Oscars this time around for obvious reasons, what about the others? We just saw a very stunning-looking Gal Gadot in her red gown present 2 awards that went to Dune. What about the rest of the presenters? Who are you looking forward to? Kunal, if you would want to, come in here.
I don't have a list of the presenters with me, so I'm not sure who all are coming up. But can I just say something here without being mean or even being a little mean? We're in 2025. I've yet to see an award ceremony in our country come even close to what the Oscars are. We can't even have a live show, forget anything else. Let's not even open up the debate of credibility or even people giving up a wonderful speech about something socially relevant or acknowledging firefighters or acknowledging social service people and workers. We're just pampering egos. It's so sad. I mean, I wish we use events like this to make a difference to music, to cinema, to the people, to people in society, to small filmmakers. The Oscars is so much more than all of than just the films and the gowns and the who wore what. It's so much more than that, and it's yet all that. There's a whole business about who's wearing what and the red carpet, and there's a whole business angle to that, and it's so wonderful, and the whole fashion industry is on that. But at the same time, the importance of everything else is kept in mind. I've actually been for one show where today we're having a discussion on sound. We're talking about how important sound is in our award ceremonies. It's actually said, and people, I've heard actors, celebrities, a lot of people say, "Arey yaar, mere ko sound on ka mat do. Give me some important awards to give. Let me give at least story to dene do yaar. Yaar, music dene do." Uh, so
you are saying, I know where you're coming from. It's a very emotional place that you're coming from. But do you think it needs to be as democratic? Because we have seen how, let's say, a Best Actor last year, Cillian Murphy will come up on stage and present the Best Actor award this year, like we have on a Miss World or a Miss International stage, for that matter, whether it is passing on the crown. Do you think it needs to be as democratic here in India as well?
Yeah, starting from where we are sitting. Everyone wants to sit on the first row. That doesn't happen in
I
Hollywood.
could not agree with Kunal more, actually, because the thing is that I would say the primary difference between the Oscars and the Grammys, that is the American awards and the Indian awards, is that when it comes to the Indian awards, the celebrities are more important than the award itself. Because the award ceremonies need the celebrities to make the award ceremony work and to make the award ceremony more saleable. And that's the reason why these award ceremonies are not even live. Whereas in the West, what happens is that the award ceremony is more important than the celebrity. They do not care whether the celebrity attends the award or not. Like, for example, when Anthony Hopkins won 3 years ago, he did not even attend the ceremony, but he was still given the Oscar. So there what happens is that the Oscars do not care whether the nominees attend or not. And they say that the first time you're going to get to know that you won the award or not is actually when you sit down and the celebrity opens the envelope. The second thing is that the Oscars and the Grammys, they've got a completely independent organization which tabulates the votes so that they insulate themselves from any accusations of wrongdoings. Like the Oscars is tabulated by PwC, the Grammys is tabulated by Deloitte. So basically, it is a foolproof mechanism of tabulation which cannot be tampered with, and there is no way to game the system. So and the reason why it is this very reason that it's completely sacrosanct, the awards process, is the reason that it's lasted for so long. That the Oscars has gone into so many decades and the Grammys has gone into so many decades because the award ceremony is far more important than the celebrity.
I just want to, both of you have brought up such important memories for us. And when I say that, I just mean we were just talking about important Oscar moments. And if you just go all the way back and you look at Marlon Brando, when he won his Oscar, sending a Native American young girl to collect his award instead of him actually going there as an important moment to give a political symbol. So the Oscars have been doing this for decades now, and it's beautiful to watch. We're going to head into a quick break, and I know that you're enjoying as much as we are this in-depth breakdown where we're looking at India, we're looking at the West too. We'll just leave you very quickly though. Morgan Freeman dedicating a tribute to Gene Hackman. We told you right now that the In Memoriam segment was taking place, and he's just said, and you can see him on your screens right now, that's Morgan Freeman right in the center. He said, "I lost a dear friend." He said this in his tribute to Gene Hackman, who, remember, passed away with his wife and his pet just a few days ago. We're heading into a break, but all coverage of the Oscars continues.
Hello, the excitement here is absolutely unreal. I have never seen this much security in my life. Hollywood Boulevard is completely shut down, no public access, multiple LAPD vans have been stationed all around, and not just that. Helicopters are circling overhead to oversee security. The entire area is on high alert right now. Inside, the energy is electric, the fan bleachers along the red carpet are packed, and the stars have already started arriving. Well, you can just feel the anticipation in the air, and it is also a big day for Los Angeles. Tonight is not just about celebrating Hollywood's best, but also about recognizing the resilience of the city after the devastating wildfires in January. Speaking of unusual, the weather is definitely not what you expect in LA. It is much colder than usual, but that is not stopping anyone's spirits are absolutely high, and we are all set for the biggest night in Hollywood.
So Tata, taking back to the discussion from where it all started, talking about how this year's awards are really different. There are certain precursor awards that are given out by critics right before the main award ceremony. Most of those awards were going to Anora. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. I think Anora and The Brutalist I think they are leading across categories. Anora is, of course, is like a breath of fresh air, amid all the films that, we have. It could be called a rom-com of sorts. I'm looking forward to, what's in store for Anora and The Brutalist. And I think Conan has really set the ball rolling. I think, he's made us all laugh. I think the jibes that he took at, Sophia or Adam Sandler, his banter with him, and of course the way Cynthia really started, the show with that fabulous, mesmerizing performance. And let's see what's in store. We saw so many Hollywood A-listers already in the audience. There was Timothy Chalamet sitting with his girlfriend Kylie Jenner. I'm sure something really fun is in store for all of us. I cannot wait to see. The first category, by the way, has already been announced.
Right.
It's gone to Culkin, for A Real Pain, and his speech was really heartwarming. He dedicated the award to his wife. So let's see what's in store.
Him and his wife have been everywhere in social media in the last few days. If you're someone who watched The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, you'd remember who his wife is, Brenda Song. But I just want to very quickly tell our audiences that we've walked over the fashion. We haven't talked about the fashion we've seen over the last few hours. And Titas, Vishal, we'll just take a second to talk about that fashion. So you talked about Timothy Chalamet right now, showing up in a beautiful baby yellow suit, custom made for him, and just really, I think the men's fashion is always so exciting. It's something that's become more exciting in the last few years. There was also, as you said, Cynthia, who just gave the opening number. She turned up in a deep green Louis Vuitton gown. That was really exciting. But usually, Titas, tell us there's stories woven into the fashion. When celebrities choose the designer they wear for a big night, there's a story that comes behind it. They've typically worked with that designer over weeks, over months to choose that look. We just also saw Demi Moore wearing Armani Privé. She was my favorite look. She was probably everyone's favorite look. Looking gorgeous.
Say about Zoe Saldana.
In
I just
silver.
saw that. She's looking stunning as well.
So just tell us some of your favorite looks. Tell us if we already know. I know typically designers tell you the story, in the next few hours, they'll put up a post saying how they planned the story. But any looks for you that have stood out to us?
I think I completely agree with you. I think Demi, she really takes the cake. She looks stunning, and Timothy, of course.
All right, welcome back. You're watching the Oscar coverage with us live here on CNN News 18. This is the Breakfast Club, and we are walking you hand in hand through the last hour. In fact, actually just the last half hour of the Oscars. So we've watched, of the big awards, we've watched Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress go out. But so far, Best Actor, Best Actor, Best Actress and Best Film.
Best Film and
all remain.
So I think the cinematography is already gone to The Brutalist. So there's one big award that The Brutalist has, in fact. And I do see the lovely Penelope Cruz, who is presenting another award. Yeah. So we will actually wait for that. We have our colleague Titas with us, who will in fact fill us in. Titas, what's happening? All right, we look
to make that connection, but it would have been beautiful. We look to make that connection just to bring you up to date. All right, let's go. I believe Titas is back. Titas, just bring us up to date, because we've been so lost here in conversation that apart from the occasional update, we've not been keeping track. But Brutalist finally, notching a few wins from the other film nominees. Just tell our audiences a little bit about what we've seen in the last few minutes.
Okay, so yes, the big categories are still pending, but Brutalist has won the best cinematography. Unfortunately, Anuja has lost. A lot. We Indians had a lot of hopes pinned on the film because Guneet, Mindy, Priyanka, they were backing the film, so that was a little bit of a bummer. But then let's see what happens next.
Absolutely. Titas, do stay on with us. We also have, a word coming in that the best film from Brazil, in fact, has ended up winning in the foreign language category. Is that right, Titas? Can you actually update us there?
All right, we'll check back in with Titas. Titas, we're going to keep bothering you through the broadcast with more and more questions. So we'll come back into you in a second. We'll go over to Ricky Cage also, who remains with us. Ricky Cage is a multiple-time Grammy winner. He has been giving us all of his perspectives on everything it takes from making the score to a film to, as we were discussing a few moments ago, award shows as they stand today, and just the artistry of award shows, what it takes to make a beautiful award show. One of the best parts, obviously, is all of the tears, Ricky. We've really been watching as actor after actor goes on. It's a defining moment in all of their lives. Ricky, tell our audiences one thing here. Is there someone that you're looking forward to will win in either Best Actor, Best Actress or the film categories?
And also remind me, have we asked Ricky
we haven't asked him, that's
favorites?
Why.
Yeah,
that's why.
I would just put him in the spot there and ask him, who do you think is taking the best film and Best Actor, Actress? Ricky?
So for me, I can tell you about my favorites, but they'd probably not win. But when it comes to best film, my favorite was Conclave. So I'm hoping that wins. And same thing with the best actor, Ralph Fiennes is my choice. But who I think is going to win is, I think best film is going to be won by Anora, in my opinion. And the best actor, I'm not sure. I think this year Timothée Chalamet has got a very good chance of winning, even though he's not on the top of everybody's list, simply because I think
Adrian Brody knocked
sort
it
of
home,
like,
perhaps.
Huh?
Because perhaps Adrian Brody knocked it home. It's such a traditional Oscar film, The Brutalist, in some ways.
Well, I think Ricky K's hopes are pinned on Rolf. I think he is, taken there with his performance at Conclave. Is that right, really, Ricky?
Yeah, I think Ralph Fiennes was just brilliant in Conclave, and I thought the film itself was absolutely brilliant. But who knows, like for example, when it came to the competition between Parasite and The Joker, I remember that year, and both films were similar films in terms of the thematic elements of the divide between the rich and the poor. I personally felt that The Joker did got that thematic element a little bit better than Parasite. But then what I've realized is that the Oscar, the Film Academy, they've got they're sort of allergic to big blockbuster movies. We've seen in the past because if you look at I think very few big blockbuster movies have actually won Oscars for Best Picture, like Lord of the Rings and the Titanic have won in the past.
Yes.
But usually, like for example, if there is a competition between The Hurt Locker and Avatar, Hurt Locker ends up winning. Crash won, which was a film which was done on a budget of about $3 or $4 million. So the Oscar Academy, they usually go for films which are lower in budget, and I guess because the voters are more prouder to vote for films which are the underdogs, as they say.
So while we are having this conversation on conjecture, borderlining on who's going to really win, Kunal, I would want your perspective on this, because there's a lot that's been said in the past and has been said every passing year on how the Globes are a precursor to the Oscars, the BAFTAs are a precursor to the Oscars. How true do you think is this conjecture really?
Well, I think I agree with what he just said. I think, an award is as good as its jury, or the jury members, or the academy here in this case. And I think it's going through a phase now where they're looking at pushing the smaller film. Even tonight, Flo has won, right?
Yes.
Flo was, that was a big one.
Yes.
I mean, for Flo to win against Inside Out and, Moana, the big studio films. So I think there's a point that, so I hope this continues, but it should be on merit. If there is a really big film that deserves it, fine, go ahead. A big studio-backed film. But it's good that things like this happen. And now, I'm not sure now where we are headed, but the evening looks interesting. Anora won for screenplay also, right?
Yes.
That was another good one. I think that's
and was
nice.
it also editing?
It was also editing. Sean Baker has.
So, Kunal, you were talking about how our colleague Vishal has got all the dope on who wins what, and he's got the maths really in place. So we also would like to bring him in here. Vishal, you were earlier talking about how a film that ends up winning the best edit ends up winning the best film, and you were taking the Oppenheimer example. So in that regard, do we see the big gong going to Anora?
Okay, we'll get his volume back in a second. Vishal,
you're on mute,
we'll
I
fix
guess.
your volume.
Sorry.
All right.
I'm saying, I just want to say that yes, there are connections, and historically speaking, the winner of the best editing generally goes to, or been winning the best picture honor. But I just want to mention, like I mentioned a few minutes ago about the Fernando Torres, the surprise winner and her film I Am Still Here won the best international feature, which also simply might be a small indication she could be the big surprise in the best actress category. Now it's going to be the three. It's a tight race in the best actress category where there is Demi Moore, there's Michael Madison, and it could be the big surprise Fernando Torres for the film I'm Still Here. And you don't know because when the campaign started, it was Demi Moore that was the big choice or big favorite of the front runner in the best actress category. Then it became Mikey Madison, and now with in the last leg of the voting, everybody was talking about Fernando Torres' performance in I'm Still Here, and that film winning the best international feature category could really, I think it's a small indication that okay, this could be a big surprise of Brazilian actors might end up winning the best actress Oscar.
Vishal, seriously, are you changing your maths there? Are you now pinning your hopes on Fernando Torres?
See, I still hope Anora is likely to win the Best Picture, because remember you were talking about historically with other guests about how Academy has been voting for other movies. But I just want to bring one thing. You know, the Oscar of before 2020 was a different than what is it today. You know, in the year 2015 and 2016. Oscar had members of 5,900, and that time that campaign of Oscar so wide that criticized heavily of Academy being very wide and less representation, and it started adding members every year. Today, Academy membership is close to 10,000 members with over 9,500 voting members, and if you can see that diversity push is reflected in the Best Picture category, where a Brazilian film is there, so is a Spanish language film is there, and we saw that its result when Parasite won in 2020. So if Anora wins, or say a Conclave win, it's a big it's a result of this diversity push. And if this continues, then maybe perhaps in the coming 2 years we probably see an Indian film that made big in Hollywood, say like the Lunchbox did, could become part of the Best Picture, because now Academy wants to be this global body honoring the cinema and going by this trend. If this year they add more members, then probably in the next coming years it's very difficult for everybody to predict the winner. Like for a long time, BAFTA winners or Golden Globe winners were the big indicator of who's going to win the Oscars. But now things have changed. Also, I just want to tell a big piece of history here. Oscar when started, they was called as the Award of Merit, and there's a trivia I want to send about the name. It was called Award of Merit, and how the name Oscar became the Academy Award became Oscar is one of the librarian from the Oscar Academy said, "Oh, the statuette resembles my uncle Oscar," and everybody started calling it Oscar.
Oh, that's
Oscar.
an interesting trivia.
It actually is Uncle Oscar, yeah.
I think it got the name Oscar.
Vishal, we'll come back to you in a second. Thank you. That's a lovely piece of information, and it's actually our first piece of information that our audiences can take home with them, use with your,
if not the Oscars.
Yeah, if you're having your coffee or your tea. We're just going to share with our audiences more, but Best Original Score as we speak right now is received. The Oscars being given out for that. Let's just go back to Kunal, and we have Ricky Cage with us. We're just learning. Let me just pause for a second and tell our audiences the Brutalist winning for Best Original Score on stage right now. One more notch for the Brutalist. The Brutalist, like Emilia Perez, two hot contenders with a lot of nominations. The Brutalist taking that home. And as we announce this, we're also telling you that we are arriving at, this included the awards of the night that are considered the big awards. So we're looking at Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Film in just a little while from now. Let's go back to Ricky and Kunal just to speak a little bit more on this. Kunal, can we ask you a rather tricky question? Right now we were speaking to Vishal just a few moments ago, and he was talking about how in the last few years the Academy, by expanding itself, is attempting to make itself stand more for world films. And I just want to ask you how you see that. We've seen a similar push take place with the Grammys, in the sense that you have artists from abroad awarded, you have foreign film categories have historically always been a thing. But do you think Hollywood and the Academy Awards could ever truly be a global body? Do you think they already are? How do you look at it?
Well, I think they already are, and I think that was exemplified when Roberto Benigni won, the Oscar against Spielberg. If you remember that night, I mean, that was it was phenomenal. I mean, he swept the awards for an Italian film, and Spielberg was nominated for, if I'm not wrong, for Schindler's List. You just have to check.
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan. Okay. So Roberto Benigni winning that was such a wonderful night, and that was world cinema, being embraced by Hollywood. And it was as we started our conversation about, a non-studio film, an outsider, not a Hollywood biggie, everything. He had nothing going for him. Nobody had heard of him. And by the end of the night, he was a celebrated star all over the world. And his film was, watched then after that all over the world. Those were the days of non-streaming. So it made its way to theaters all over the world. And I think it's always been, inclusive. And that's a good example of it. Is it happening a lot more now? Yes, of course. It's happening a lot more now. The world has become a much smaller place thanks to social media. And, we're all much more connected today. It's easier to be connected. But yeah, I would think it's always been that case. And it's been wonderful that it has been that way. And I mean, if we were more connected, I think, I wish you'd even ask one question like, which films of the past, had a chance from India to win? I think a lot of Satyajit Ray films would have won.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But Satyajit, if I may say, Satyajit Ray is a name we talk about a lot. Tell us someone more recent in the last 10, 20 years that you think,
Well, I'd like to go a little more back. I think Guide would have won an Oscar for sure. I don't know why. I mean, I think that's Devanand's Guide would have definitely won. I mean, if we go just very recent, I think 12th Fail had a very strong chance.
Wow, interesting that you put that in because everybody has been talking about 12th Fail all through that year. But thank you so much for that. I would request both Ricky and Kunal to continue to stay with us as we are talking about Oscars and also India at the Oscars, so to speak. And it's interesting, Toya, that Kunal was talking about Guide, or for that matter, the Satyajit Ray cinema, speaks volumes about how evolved has Indian cinema become
for decades.
That it is finding a mention, not just a mention, a proper dedication from the host of the Oscar award ceremony this time around, Conan O'Brien, addressing the Indian audiences, and that too in Hindi. That is how important the Indian market really is globally. And so we will talk about all that.
And speaking about, because you were speaking about hosts, I do want to tell audiences, earlier we were talking about the tribute to Gene Hackman.
Yes.
And we told you a little bit about what was said on stage. Morgan Freeman essentially dedicating a tribute, saying, I lost a dear friend. Take a look.
Hello, the excitement here is absolutely unreal. I have never seen this much security in my life. Hollywood Boulevard is completely shut down. No public access, multiple LAPD vans have been stationed all around, and not just that. Helicopters are circling overhead to oversee security. The entire area is on high alert right now. Inside the energy is electric. The fan bleachers along the red carpet are packed, and the stars have already started arriving. Well, you can just feel the anticipation in the air. And it is also a big day for Los Angeles. Tonight is not just about celebrating Hollywood's best, but also about recognizing the resilience of the city after the devastating wildfires in January. Speaking of unusual, the weather is definitely not what you expect in LA. It is much colder than usual, but that is not stopping anyone's spirits are absolutely high, and we are all set for the biggest night in Hollywood.
So Tata, taking back to the discussion from where it all started, talking about how this year's awards are really different, there are certain precursor awards that are given out by critics right before the main award ceremony. Most of those awards were going to Anora. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. I think Anora and The Brutalist sort of, I think they are leading across categories. Anora is, of course, is like a breath of fresh air, amid all the films that, we have. It could be called a rom-com of sorts. I'm looking forward to, what's in store for Anora and The Brutalist. And I think Conan has really set the ball rolling. I think, he's made us all.
All right, and welcome back to the Breakfast Club's coverage of the Oscars. We are walking you through everything that's taking place. Remember, the biggest awards we are still looking forward to: Best Film, Best Actor, Best Actress. All of that yet to be announced. Right now, some gorgeous musical performances taking place on stage. And a few moments ago, the funniest comment we just saw, Conan O'Brien hosting the show, remember, saying that because it was already halfway around the ceremony, making a reference to the Super Bowl, he said it's time for Kendrick Lamar to come out and call Drake a pedophile. He very quickly then said, look, I'm lawyered up, so don't try to make any kind of comment.
Trust Conan O'Brien to go ahead and
he's really poked in this entire ceremony right from the opening with the Emilia Perez dialogue that he chose to open with. He has gone after just really holding, I feel like, Hollywood and the entertainment world by its neck.
Yes.
Everyone's a little scared what's going to be said next. But
We're talking about awards. We will go back to our guests who continue to be with us. Kunal and Ricky are with us on the broadcast. So, Ricky, let me bring you in here. Considering Brutalist has ended up winning another award, this time original score. What do you have to say? Were you actually? I know we have been talking about Dune, but what about Brutalist making it?
No, Brutalist overall is a fantastic movie. I mean, that a very technically superior movie, and it had to be because of the subject matter. So as I said, when it comes to the original score, all 5 nominees were equally good in my opinion. All 5 composers are absolutely brilliant. So Brutalist winning is no surprise to me. But I wanted to address something else that you were talking about the Oscars going global. I wanted to say that, in my opinion, the Oscars is as global as it can get right now. Simply because if you look at it, award ceremonies are a product of, of market variations itself when it comes to the film industry or when it comes to the music industry. So right now, the Oscars, their main income comes from, the television broadcast that happens, on, I think currently they're on ABC, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing is that their main income comes from the television broadcast that happens in America. So, so the Oscars cannot have too many people winning awards who the American audiences does not know. So because if there are too many people who the American audiences are not exposed to in terms of films or in terms of content, then people are going to switch away from watching the broadcast. So that is why it's very important for them to have a lot of their voting members, even though they're all over the world, it's very important for them to have a lot of their voting members in America so that they're voting for films that have impacted American people. So that becomes really important for them. Now, the thing is that if they have to make their awards more and more international and get more Indian films, more Chinese films, more Japanese films, Korean films winning on an equal level, then in what language are they going to do the broadcast? Who are the performers going to be? How are they going to connect with those audiences all over the world? If one particular section of the world gets an award, then the other people are going to switch off. And, so all of this confusion is there. And of course, the world is coming together because of OTT platforms and because of streaming and all of that stuff. But it's going to take a very long time for the Oscars to truly evolve into a global platform where anybody, anywhere can actually win.
And yet we have 13 nominations for Emilia Perez, which is an international film, majorly in the Spanish language.
It's a French film in a Spanish language.
But a film that created huge impact in America and has got huge political value in America.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
that is very important to denote because it's a film that has a very, very strong political connection to India, and also it's got Zoe Saldana in it.
I think I asked the question because I was curious because the US has long held the placeholder. When we say global, we often mean a US product. So the Grammys is a very good example of that, right? We say it's global music. And again, the tricky part here is that music from other countries, movies from other countries, we get that small option of best foreign film that's the category, whereas American films have such a broad base to compete within. But let's take the conversation back for a second to The Brutalist. Kunal, I'm coming to you with a question around The Brutalist. The Brutalist is one film that any time you hear what experts have had to say about it, they say that, and I'm not sure they're saying this as a compliment, they say that it was made to win an Oscar. Every shot of that film was shot as if ek din Oscar milega is film ko. Adrian Brody's delivered his dialogue as if ek din Oscar milega mujhe. Is that actually a thing? Tell us in a director's mind, when you're sitting down with a script, this could be, this is going to be a sexy Oscar film, because even the content of it lends itself very easily to that.
And while you answer that, Kunal, I must tell our audiences that the Best Actor category is right now being announced by Cillian Murphy. So anytime we would know who is winning the Best Actor. So if I interrupt you guys, please don't mind me.
Adrian Timothy, that's the toss-up. But do go ahead, Kunal.
Yeah, so I mean, we all start out from the time you put pen to paper or finger to keyboard and you start writing your script. You dream of some award, and anyone who says otherwise is lying. And every day on set, I challenge my DOP, I challenge my actors, I challenge my sound recordist, I challenge everybody on set that, guys, we got to give a trailer-worthy shot, at least trailer-worthy. Let's start with that.
Okay, gents, can I just interrupt you? I think it is Adrian Brody who has won the Best Actors award.
I think it's just the nominees.
It's the nomination.
Yeah,
okay, all right. It's my bad. I beg your pardon.
No, but don't worry, Kunal. You were telling. No, you can't do that yet. Sorry, Kunal. You're going to have to be here with us. I know.
I jumped the gun.
Both you and Ricky have it open, I think. I'm not sure, Ricky, if you do. But Kunal, you were telling us that when a director sees a script,
there's nothing, and okay. Now let me give you two very quick examples of two legendary
please.
filmmakers from India. There was the 50th award celebration of one very prestigious Indian award at one time, and Ramesh Sippy was being felicitated for Sholay. Okay, and when he picked up the award for Sholay, after like some 25 years of the film's release, and Ramesh Sippy, the man who's made Sholay and other wonderful films, holds an award in his hand and says, "Oh, so this is what it feels like." And I went up to him backstage and I said, "Sir, what did you mean by that? I mean, I'm sure you won so many awards." He said, "Sholay didn't win me a single Best Director award. The award went to Yash Chopra for Diwar." And Ramesh Sippy has never won a Best Director award in his life. So I think, that says so much. And the other very quick example I'll give you is when I saw Nasir Hussain receive his Lifetime Achievement Award. And he came on stage.
Okay, it is. So I preempted it. It is Adrian Brody who has won the Best Actor for this time around. The Brutalist, Adrian Brody, it is as Best Actor. We had announced it.
In my broadcast.
And you know what? I'm sorry, I've been such a Timothy Chalamet cheerer here, but he'd given such a passionate speech at the Screen Actors Guild when he'd won his award. And the camera, typically, when you win an Oscar, it shows you the actors' faces, everyone who didn't win that award. And you get to see Timothy sort of look down. But Adrian Brody, someone who's been in the public eye since The Pianist and before that. He's someone who's familiar with the Oscars. He's familiar with the red carpet. He's someone who, as we were saying earlier, The Brutalist was sort of the sure shot winner. Someone else winning it was the dark horse over here. So it has gone to the traditional choice. Also, very interestingly, they often say with Best Actor that Best Actor goes to an old, experienced actor, and Best Actress always goes to a younger actress.
But it's interesting that you say that, Toya, because he was one of the youngest actors to have won it the first time when he got it in 2003.
Now he's not. So now he's not.
For The Pianist. Let's hope it's not with controversy this time around like it had happened the last time. He is in fact giving his Oscar speech at the moment, so we're all looking forward to that, and we'll have our colleagues in fact break that down for us in just a bit. But Kunal, do go ahead please.
Yeah, you were talking about Nasiruddin Shah.
Nasir Hussain wins Lifetime Achievement Award, and he comes on stage, holds the award, and he says, "Achhi filmein bas ban jati." And I think, and so when I heard it, I had not yet made my first film, and I was like, what did he say? I said, oh, maybe, he's aged, and, maybe he didn't have the words to express himself. But I think there are no finer words than that. Achhi filmein bas ban jati. Good cinema just happens. And good cinema, good music, it just flows. It comes from a place which we don't know, but it just happens. And that is such a reality that no composer, no creator can argue that. You know, you put your fingers on the keyboard and the notes just come to you.
How beautiful.
You get onto set and a film just happens. Magic just happens. Or you try your best and it doesn't happen. No one goes out to make a bad film. No one goes out to make a film that's not going to win an award. No one goes out to create a song that's not going to be memorable. But it just, you know, you make a Roja or you make a Jai Ho and still win an
Absolutely.
Oscar.
That's a beautiful thought there, Kunal. And thank you so much for sharing that. Ricky, we will come back to you in just a bit, and we really need to know what is Adrian Brody really saying that as he has that Best Actor trophy in his hand, presented to him by Cillian Murphy, last year's winner for Oppenheimer. So we will tell our viewers all about that, but after this very, very short break.
Brought to you by
Hello, the excitement here is absolutely unreal. I have never seen this much security in my life. Hollywood Boulevard is completely shut down, no public access, multiple LAPD vans have been stationed all around, and not just that. Helicopters are circling overhead to oversee security. The entire area is on high alert right now. Inside the energy is electric, the fan beaches are on red carpet are packed, and the stars have already started arriving. Well, you can just feel the anticipation in the air, and it is also a big day for Los Angeles. Tonight is not just about celebrating Hollywood's best, but also about recognizing the resilience of the city after the devastating wildfires in January. Speaking of unusual, the weather is definitely not what you expect in LA. It is much colder than usual, but that is not stopping anyone's spirits are absolutely high, and we are all set for the biggest night in Hollywood.
So Tata, taking back to the discussion from where it all started, talking about how this year's awards are really different. There are certain precursor awards that are given out by critics right before the main award ceremony. Most of those awards were going to Anora. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. I think Anora and The Brutalist sort of, I think they are leading across categories. Anora is, of course, is like a breath of fresh air, you know, amid all the films that, you know, we have. It could be called a rom-com of sorts. I'm looking forward to, you know, what's in store for Anora and The Brutalist. And I think Conan has really set the ball rolling. I think, you know, he's made us all laugh. I think the jibes that he took at, you know, Sophia or Adam Sandler, his banter with him, and of course the way Cynthia really started.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club's coverage of the Oscars, and we've just watched a big award be given out, Best Actor for Adrian Brody. Someone who has been in the spotlight for years, an upset for Timothée Chalamet, who won, remember, the Screen Actors Guild Award. One of the few, along with the BAFTA, one of the few films award ceremonies that is seen as a precursor to this one. Adrian Brody giving a beautiful, tearful speech on stage saying Papa's coming home with an award tonight. They give that thank you to their partners. And a beautiful moment. But we're waiting still for some big ones. Best Actress.
And his co-actors. He did thank his co-actors.
Yeah,
but were you expecting this, Soya, or has it been an upset for you? Were you rooting for someone?
Timothée Chalamet's fans are across the world, not just represented here in the studio. There was a lookalike contest for Timothée Chalamet that went viral, that people may have heard about in New York, where you just had hundreds of young kids who look like Timothée Chalamet come out. So he's able to tap in, and it's interesting also, he has two films. Dune 2 is also him.
Yes.
There's also obviously his Bob Dylan film, and his Bob Dylan film is one he said he worked 5 years, 6 years for to perfect that Bob Dylan voice. He's actually very funnily, they've asked him, you know, if you came across Bob Dylan in real life, because he hasn't met Bob Dylan yet. But we shouldn't spend time talking about him. He isn't ultimately the winner, but he's also someone who has years to win it.
But there is an obvious comparison between Adrian Brody and Timothée Chalamet, because the conjecture was being drawn on whether or not he becomes one of the youngest ones to have won an Oscar now at 29. Because Adrian Brody was in fact one of the youngest actors when he'd won it the first time in 2003. Of course, that ended up in a controversy with that kiss with Halle Berry. Today, it's not that. It's a tearful speech that he is currently giving, even as we speak. as Soya was mentioning, thanking his partner and his co-actors on the film The Brutalist, and he was expecting this particular award. And there was so much that was being said, especially after the Globes and the BAFTAs, on whether or not he takes the big win tonight, and he has in fact.
Yeah, and it's ended all of our questions. But with this win, that question of whether or not The Brutalist will win Best Film, having nabbed this award, that gets interesting.
Yes.
And The Brutalist has been picking up awards. I think they won Best Original Score a little while earlier. We were tracking that. Or Best Sound. And you also, of course, have Emilia Perez that's biting at its heels. You have Anora, much loved. Anora got Best Acting. It got Best Screenplay. Let's go back to our many guests who are joining us for just this lovely conversation we've had over the last few minutes.
And we do have Quentin Tarantino right now. I think there's going to be a presentation of the Best Director right now.
Yes.
That is going to happen.
Sean Baker right now being heralded for Anora, Brady Corbin. So I'm sorry, gentlemen, we're going
to bring in the director actually.
Yeah. Let's bring in our directors.
Kunal, who do you think is going to take the cake?
Okay.
Say it before the award is announced.
Emilia Perez. The best director. Let's see if Emilia Perez gets it.
Okay, we have our fingers crossed.
All right, we're all sort of waiting as we see who is announced. And we'll just share with you in a second who it is that has won the award. We're actually watching as audiences around him. So I think it is Sean Baker for Anora.
Sean Baker.
Yeah, it is. It's Sean Baker for Anora. Wow.
Sean Baker
That's
for Anora.
huge.
Yes, it is.
All right, Sean Baker finally receiving. This is an award he's waited his life for. He's created films that highlight the stories of communities that aren't talked about again and again, right from Florida. This is a man who his work has been heralded, and Anora in particular, a small budget, a tightly written script. It's important to highlight. Not a lot of visual effects, not very much going on except for the captivating story of its two leads, and Sean Baker on the stage, possibly giving a very, very beautiful speech right now. But Kunal, now we come to you to ask you.
Expected?
Well, I'm glad because it just throws everything up, all the expectations and all, which is what is nice about the Oscars, because it's, and like you rightfully said, Sean Baker's been, always in the focus, but never got his due.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Yeah.
Yeah. This is his time. And I think it's wonderful. I mean, it's one of the most wonderful nights for a filmmaker. I've experienced that once in my life. When I got Best Director for Hum Tum, and I know that feeling stays with you forever. And because there was no there was nothing that I could have done to win that award, except make a good film. Nothing behind the scenes, like no manipulation, but which has now become a thing of lot of our award. Yeah, but so I think the feeling that one gets, genuinely, your throat dries up, you run out of words. It's almost unbelievable. You can't believe what's happening to you at that point in time, because all your contemporaries are there. People you respect, people you admire, people you've grown up watching, they're all there and they're sitting and clapping for you. There is no bigger high than that in a filmmaker's life, in an actor's life, in a composer's life, in anybody's life. That moment of glory is just so life-changing, and it remains with you forever.
Vicky, he's also got a standing ovation from his peers.
Yes.
What do you have to say about this moment?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a moment like, if I have to compare it to another moment, it's like Sofia Coppola, winning for Lost in Translation. Because both are sort of like mildly romantic comedy movies, very low budget movies, very high on story, very high on emotions, and two different communities coming together, Japan, and in this case it's Russia. So the thing is that I feel that, and Sofia Coppola also exactly same story. She paid her dues. She worked with numerous filmmakers and all of that stuff, and and this was her reckoning moment, Lost in Translation, and in this case, Sean Baker's reckoning moment was is Anora. So I think it's sort of very similar in that respect. And also, I wanted to address a previous point that was made about making films for Oscars. A person who was an absolute champion at that was the disgraced and the criminal filmmaker Harvey Weinstein. He was very good at doing that. He would take on sometimes distressed productions which were halfway in and they've run out of money. He would buy those productions and he would make tweaks to the script, make tweaks to the shooting schedules and and the stories, and even sometimes pull out an actor and put in a different actor. And he would make those films completely Oscar worthy. And he was always successful. Every single film that he would touch would get multiple nominations or get multiple wins, from Shakespeare in Love to Crash to all the films that Quentin Tarantino made, because Quentin Tarantino, most of his films were actually produced by Harvey Weinstein. Most of Meryl Streep's movies were produced by Harvey Weinstein. So he was a champion at doing that, of how to make a film Oscar worthy and how to connect with the voting members.
Imagine how all of that has been buried under Me Too allegations. So all that body of work, what happens to people is just sad. But, now we are waiting for two big nods. That's Best Actress and Best Film. So who do you think is walking away with these two big ones?
Also, just sorry.
I'm really getting it wrong, so don't ask me.
No, but with the context that Anora has just won Best Director, so I mean...
Do you think it is going to be the Best Film also? Yeah.
Best Film and Best Actress for Mikey Madison, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that. Taking off from here, I think I should not have worn my t-shirt. You're so well formally dressed and everything. You're Oscar-worthy dressed, and I'm just no regular.
We were given guidelines.
I was not. In my defense, I was just told to show up, which I did.
And you've shown up with stories, which is what we really appreciate.
Which is beautiful.
Ricky, Kunal, let's just take a second to tell our audiences a little bit more over here. We'll just come back to you in a second. So what we've watched take place so far, Best Director going to Sean Baker for Anora. Anora, as we've highlighted so much on this show, it's a small film with a small budget but a lot of heart. The story of a young sex worker who in her work comes across a Russian oligarch's son, marries him, and all of the problems that come out of it. So Sean Baker winning Best Director for that. He's someone who Florida Project really brought him into the spotlight. He, as we talked about earlier, this is huge for him.
Absolutely,
obviously.
and Toya, I'm really interested in knowing what exactly did he say in that acceptance speech of
Let's
his.
go to...
We'll go to Titas and know exactly that. Titas, tell us.
I think his speech was really beautiful. He spoke about how cinemas are under threat. They're dying. There are independent theaters across the US that are dying. He mentioned a figure, I think, about during the pandemic, 1,000 screens had shut down. And how cinemas are especially under bigger threat because of the streaming platforms. He urged parents to introduce their children, their 5-year-olds, their 6-year-olds, by taking them to the theaters, because that's what he has also, that's how he was introduced to the theaters. And he dedicated the award to his mother because, interestingly, it's her birthday today.
But also tell us, Titas, if you could, just a little bit more about Sean Baker. We keep saying, we told our audiences earlier, he's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And Florida Project really brought him into focus. Why is he someone whose artistry is really looked up to, but, is being celebrated today finally?
Oh, I think, as a man, I feel, his lens, the lens through which he really tells his stories, they're really sensitive, they're tender, and we cannot say that about a lot of male directors. When we think of male directors, it's usually these larger than life, let's say, crime thrillers or actioners. But the kind of films that he is known for, they are like, it hits home. They're like more like slice of life films. And that's what really makes him stand out, among his contemporaries, his peers.
Absolutely, and while we are talking, Titas, I think the Best Actress Award is going to be announced because we have the nominees, that list is that's being played out at the Oscar Award ceremony. So we are waiting for that big announcement. So that's the second last award. So conjectures are being drawn on whether or not it is going to be Demi Moore or Mikey Madison for that matter, or it is going to be a completely different person.
Yeah, we've only been actually
talking about
these
these two.
Yeah.
So we will just know very, very shortly. Fingers crossed for you, Toya. Who do you think, who you're placing on
putting
best
me
on?
again and again in this tough position.
I know you're going to say Mikey Madison.
No, I love Mikey Madison and I loved that film. It was incredible. But for Demi Moore, I think her winning it is important in a way that Mikey has her career in front of her. And in just a few seconds, we're going to know. And Emma Stone is up there right now. Mikey Madison
It
has
is.
won the
you
award.
preempted it. It's Mikey
Wow,
Madison,
all right.
Best Actress.
That is huge. So Mikey Madison going up on stage. This is huge, but it's also unfortunately going to be a huge upset for, and we'll see her face in just a second, Demi Moore. Today was being looked at as a moment in which an actress who's built her career in Hollywood would finally receive her time in the spotlight with this award.
And she made a very, very emotional speech at the Golden
this,
Globes.
This
and
will
we
be
were
considered
expected.
a huge upset, bigger
for.
than the Timothy Chalamet upset is nothing in comparison to this. Mikey, and you know, the
What
other
a huge moment for Mikey Madison, not taking away from
but
that,
I do want to
definitely.
also add, you know, we had Vishal Chatkara say this, that the Oscars often go to an experienced actor and a young actress. And Mikey Madison proving that once again. But she's done such a heartfelt, beautiful portrayal in Anora. She plays a gutsy, badass young sex worker who gets married to a Russian oligarch because he offers her money, seemingly kind of falls in love with him somewhere in the way there, and she wins you over with her charm.
Absolutely, and she's visibly overwhelmed. We do see her reading her speech out of a paper, and we would not go to and disturb Titas at the moment because I want her to, in fact,
be able to share all the details
to share
with us.
the details and what exactly she's saying. But it is an emotional moment for Mikey Madison, a big win that the actor has got for her portrayal in Anora, something where she was pitted against the biggest names in the industry. So this one going in for Mikey Madison, a big surprise, but also a pleasant one.
And I also just want to share, she's someone with no social media. She doesn't have an Instagram. She doesn't have
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's only incredible because on one side we saw Timothy Chalamet's Oscar campaign over months and months where he was just, you know, just everywhere. And on the other side, you have someone like Mikey Madison who created a beautiful film, left an impact with her work. And you've just seen her at awards ceremony. She hasn't put out anything.
That's a beautiful anomaly
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a young actor without a social media
It's really,
presence
really
and making
special.
it out there. That's a big statement to make, actually. And Toya, thank you so much for sharing that. I did
Such
not
a
know
fun,
that.
Fun piece of, I mean, I hope she hasn't created a social media, you know, in the last few days, because when I was last reading about her, because her acting is refreshing. Right now, as she's speaking on stage, Sean Baker is looking at her with a lot of love. So it's really, really a beautiful moment that we're seeing.
Let's actually, you know, ask Ricky and Kunal, who continue to be with us. Ricky, we were just talking about the fact that the best director is going to Sean Baker. We might see Mikey Madison win this gong for best actress, and this is what has happened.
Yeah, also one has to consider this to be the, I mean, we have to address the elephant in the room that most actresses who win the Best Actress Award at a younger age, their career actually goes downhill from there. That's sort of like the curse of winning
Ricky,
the Best
bringing
Actress.
in the good news.
Yeah,
the good news there
already.
Right from Halle Berry to Jennifer Lawrence to Gwyneth Paltrow, all of them, when they've won the Oscar at a younger age, their careers have usually gone downhill from there. And that has been always unfortunate when it comes to actresses. So I hope that for her, it's going to be different and she'll be an anomaly in this particular case.
But Kunal, why do you think that is? Why do you think that happens?
I don't know. Maybe just something to do with expectations. And I hope she proves this wrong. I never put these two things together. But I think that's quite scary. But definitely I feel, there will be actresses who will prove this wrong. Going back to Sean Baker, I didn't agree with your journalist. Sorry, I forgot her name. She's interviewed me just recently.
Titas, yes.
Yeah, very sweet girl, but little mean of her to say that men can't be sensitive filmmakers.
I know you're taking it.
Yeah, I was going to say it stayed with you very clearly.
And I think that the reverse sexism is also not fair when, you have to get a woman to make a woman-oriented subject and, a full female-oriented group.
Titas is with us right now. We're going to have the primetime debate that we didn't sign up for right now with Titas on the left.
And here's a man who prides himself that in all his films, all his female characters are very strong and stronger than the male characters. All my female characters have been stronger than the male characters, and they've been very sensitive as well. And I think I played a part in helping them portray that.
Kunal, sorry, before going over to Titas, I will stand up for her for a second though and say that even if she didn't say, I think the statement is still fair for a lot of male directors, whether or not it is all.
We're just having fun saying this.
Yeah, no, of course.
I'm not taking it seriously.
Titas, do you want to get a word in though? Because she's watching you, she's here with us right now.
Before we get to know which one is getting the best film nod, Titas.
Yeah. Well, not all. It was not a very. Wait, the award is being announced.
Okay, all right. A good way to switch tracks. But also, sorry, I do want to point out one thing before we move ahead. Don't you think The Substance is a film about aging? It's all about how Demi Moore hates being older. Her character hates being older. And then the Oscar going to a younger actress.
One, yeah.
I just thought there was
Certainly
an irony
not
there that
poetic.
we're just not talking
Of
about.
course.
An unfortunate irony.
Unfortunate. But let's see which one wins the best film. Fingers crossed for that. Titas
you know,
has her eyes on it.
Just adding
Yes.
to that, sometimes it's not the script back role that always gets it, because Demi Moore's role had everything. It was, it had all the crutches needed for a good performance. It had the drama, it had the emotion.
Okay, Anora winning the best film. Kunal, I'm so sorry
Kunal.
to interrupt
Yes,
you, but Anora has won the best film.
Wow. And everyone has gotten up to serenade this film.
And you know who's announced the best film for Anora? One of the most legendary couples of a film ever, of When Harry Met Sally.
Are we looking at Meg Ryan on stage? We
Yes,
missed
with-
her. We were not able to
With
see.
Billy Crystal. No,
Billy-
no, one sec. Who was the one sec?
Harry Met Sally is Billy
That's
Crystal.
Billy Crystal. Billy
Yes,
Crystal.
Yeah,
Yes,
it is
yes.
Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
It is Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal. I was right. There you go.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Thank
beautiful.
you for pointing
the
that
entire
out. That's
audience has
beautiful.
gotten up. Yeah.
So one of the most classic rom-coms ever is announcing this. Now, is it true that they didn't know that?
Oh, you're right.
Oh, is that
you're
the director
right.
of Hum Tum? Okay.
No, but he's-
Trust him to point that out. for
Yeah,
sure.
your point that,
Yeah.
if they hadn't known that, why would they have, right?
Yeah, why?
And it's-
I'm sure they knew that. That's why they got them to.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so, because if you look at the 2020 Oscars, sorry, the 2021 Oscars, where everybody felt that Chadwick Boseman is going to actually win the Best Actor award. I remember David Fincher was the director of the ceremony, and he pushed the Best Actor Oscar to the end, which is usually reserved for the Best Picture Oscar, because he wanted that beautiful moment of a person who had passed away and his family coming up on stage and collecting the Oscar. But then it ended up, but Anthony Hopkins ended up winning, and Anthony Hopkins did not even attend the ceremony because he knew he's going to lose, because he knew that they'll probably give it to Chadwick Boseman. But then Anthony Hopkins ended up winning, and it became a very anticlimactic ending to the Oscars. So I do not believe that anybody knows who has won the Oscars, but there can be coincidences.
I mean, you would have had do you think you would have had the La La Land Moonlight mistake happen if everyone had sort of...
True, it wouldn't have happened, that mistake. And plus, since I've had the experience of being at the Grammys, there is absolutely no way to find out. Not even the Academy knows who has won, because it is the third party that actually tabulates the votes. And
Ricky standing up for the institutions in the US and how they run their awards show. This has been a...
No, but that's a very interesting take, because you were also talking about the entire selection process and how the voting really works, especially for best film for that matter. So there you have Conan O'Brien signing off, and we did see all of the people who have been associated and have been part of the films that were vying in for the top nod in the best film category. Everybody getting up to salute to Anora as the film has taken the biggest award tonight.
And has not come out in India.
Yeah.
So there's
that's an upset. And yet you're watched.
Yes, but our Indian audiences, that's a film that you can possibly look out for. And speaking, Kunal, to what you were saying earlier, maybe it's a film that will come out now. I mean, who's to say, the ways in which these films will now get distributed. But we'd like to thank everyone who's been with us over the last few minutes, to stay with us, to watch everything. Kunal, and I do want to ask Kunal and Ricky, both of you, your final thoughts, because we want to know, now that we know, we're on the other side, we've done the hard stuff, no more asking you to guess who's going to win anything. Kunal, you'd said that this award is special because we celebrate the small films, and Anora has won as a small film, so it's huge. How do you see it?
Well, I think it's a wonderful time for Sean Baker. He's always had subjects that are very unusual and that people would not likely pick up. Whether it was Starlet or Takeout, they're very strange relationships between people, and a lovely play between people. And I think that's just so wonderful. And I'm glad that the Academy has selected him, his cinema, his actress, and everyone's been backing Demi Moore. what I'd like to say about that, or what I was saying about her performance, was that it was a very script-backed performance. Everything was there on paper. Of course, she has to execute it. But in films like Anora, it's making every moment count. Where if the actress at that moment, in that scene, does not deliver, that scene will just fall flat. There's not that much support of drama, of the story that is giving you, which is there in substance. So I think that's the difference between the two performances. And having made a film like that, in that genre, and loving that genre, I know how difficult it is for that genre to work, and how difficult it is for people to understand that genre. For actresses, actors to perform in that genre is not as easy as it looks. You can call it rom-com, you can call it light-hearted, you can call it slice of life. It's a love story. It is the most difficult thing to do. It's very, very difficult.
And we never talk about that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, people don't talk about that. And I think that, and tonight at the Oscars, this morning for us, that being celebrated is such a wonderful thing. I'm glad they've done that. It brings cinema like that back into focus. Films like that are not being made. In the West, here in India, to forget it. No one wants to make films like that anymore. They all just want to make action films. That's a different debate. But I'm saying it's, for the Oscars to honor that is a very good nod for theatrical business of films like that.
Because it signals the kind of films we...
Yes, you can make films like that. You don't just have to look for superhero and Marvel DC films. Make those for sure, but those are not the only theatrical films that should be made. You have to get films like Anora out.
With an unknown face, with all unknown faces actually, I'd like to point out.
Exactly. Ultimately, it is cinema. Ultimately, cinema that works, whether it's Anora or it's 12th Fail or it's anything like that. It's not the name. Today, those names are spoken about. Today, everyone knows Medha Shankar of 12th Fail. Yesterday, we did. And that's, today, you have Anora winning so many Oscars and everyone, talking about them. Yesterday, you did. So I think that's the wonderful thing about the Oscars this year, is that it's brought the smaller films into focus, and it'll greenlight a lot more films in different genres, which is needed.
Ricky, I know that you began by talking about Mikey Madison winning the Best Actor, and considering she has done it so early on in her career, might just bring in a downfall as per stats. Talk about upsets now in this Oscar ceremony. What has that been for you now that the ceremony has just concluded? Something that you were really rooting for did not end up winning?
So first of all, I completely agree with every single thing that Kunal just said. And I think the smaller films winning matters a lot, simply because these films, the Oscar magic plays on them, and these films end up doing very well theatrically. In the past, there were two Indian-themed movies like Gandhi and Slumdog Millionaire, which actually did not have much of a box office haul to even speak about before they actually got nominated for the Oscars. But then after they got nominated, they made a huge amount of money, and then after they won a bunch of Oscars, they made even more money, and they became some of the biggest box office hits in history because of the Oscars. I see the same thing happening with Anora too. The only upset that I would say is that I really wanted Demi Moore to win, simply because I thought it was her time, and I felt that it would be a very strong statement when it came to actresses, female actors in the movie industry. And her speech at the Golden Globes was absolutely beautiful, and it really connected with me. And I felt that, that itself, showed how much she deserved it, and her performance was amazing. But I also agree with what Kunal said, that Mikey, that the Anora performance was very, stripped down, and and it did not have all of the, all of the drama and all of the writing and all of that stuff to support her, and it was all her, when it came to her performance, and that is why I think she really held that film together beautifully, and she probably deserved it. So I'm in two thoughts about that, but I would have really liked it if Demi Moore won, and that would have made me very happy.
We're going to keep both of you with us. We're just going to give our audiences a very quick recap right now of all of the big awards right now. Best film, the one that we'd really been looking forward to, going out to Anora in a As you can just see, we'll play out the visuals for you on your screen right now. There's Anora winning. You had Best Actor. Best Actor was taken home by Adrian Brody. He won it for The Brutalist. You also had Best Actress. That was an upset. That's what we talked about right now. It went to Mikey Madison. Incredible Mikey Madison for her beautiful portrayal of Anora, the titular character. But an upset to Demi Moore, who was expected to win it for The Substance.
And then, of course, the Best Director going to Sean Baker for Anora, and a speech that was very heartfelt, something that received a standing ovation, a moment, under the sun for Sean Baker there, to come out with a film like Anora and then end up winning the Best Direction for that same film, along with the Best Film and the Best Actress award. A big, big win for Anora there, with so many nominations in its kitty also.
You had Best Original Score, which The Brutalist took home. And we've spoken about The Brutalist a little earlier too, just what it means for The Brutalist to have taken home so many awards. Live action short, we're only pointing out to you because
another upset for India.
It was an upset, right? We were hoping Anuja would win, but Anuja did not take that home.
So so that's pretty much it. These are the Best Original Score, Emilia Perez. One film that was leading the nomination with 13. That was the nomination pack. But other than the Best Actress award in Zoe Saldana, we did not really see much when it is about Emilia Perez. Maybe because of the controversy. It did not work
possibly
for the film.
because of the controversy, yeah. And documentary feature, you had No Other Land that won. No Other Land is the film we were telling our audiences about a little earlier. Where it was made reportedly by Israeli and Palestinian creators together. And they had actually gotten angry at the US for not showing the film in a proper manner. Documentary short, the only girl winning. This is the only girl in the orchestra, and as we told you a little earlier, it's all about how one young woman became the first to become a part of the New York Philharmonic, the first full-time woman instrumentalist.
Best International Feature from Brazil, I'm Still Here, and that's what got our colleague slightly wary on who's going to be winning the Best Actress award. Whether the film goes ahead and wins that was also the conjecture, but it did go to the Brazilian film there. Best Production Design, Wicked. While we are in fact giving our viewers a lowdown on the big wins as far as the Oscars are concerned, let me also introduce Raja Sen, film critic, who's now joining us on the broadcast. Raja, your takeaways from the Oscars. Are you content with what you have seen so far?
Well, with what I've seen, I'll say it wasn't a good show. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't glossy enough or exciting enough or really memorable as a show. But the fact that a film like Anora, such an independent and original film, did a clean sweep at the Oscars, victories for Mikey Madison, victories for Sean Baker, and Anora itself getting these major awards. That's a very good sign, when it's an independent film, when it is a young actress, these wins are wins that go a long way in defining the trajectory of Hollywood over the next few years. And Anora winning is very, very exciting.
So, Raja, on your right, our audiences are actually also looking at Kunal Kapoor. And Kunal, we didn't let you watch the film. I mean, we didn't let you watch the awards show. So I can't come to you with this question. But Raja, I can ask you, when you say the award show itself wasn't very fun, what are you talking about the hosting in particular?
I'm talking about the hosting. Conan O'Brien wasn't really on his game. I don't think the show itself had very many memorable moments, We usually have this big red carpet sort of feeling with the Oscars. We didn't really have that.
Yeah.
A few of the presenters, a few gags, but nothing that, if you didn't, Kunal, you haven't missed anything, is basically the point.
But do you think is it because of the LA wildfires? It has really, hit Hollywood the hardest this time around, and that's why we are seeing this lackluster show that Raja is talking about?
But I think, more than lackluster, I can't comment on that since I haven't seen it. But I think what I've been reading online and what I've been just watching as, when we went into breaks, I think what was really nice was the way, the tribute that they've given to the firefighters.
Yes.
The fact that they had the show. The fact that they had the show, the fact that they paid the tribute, I think those are wonderful things. And I think more important than the event was the messages they've sent out to filmmakers, to the encouragement they've given smaller filmmakers, newer filmmakers. That has been not necessarily newer in the case of Sean Baker, but just but you know what I mean. The encouragement to newer talent and smaller films. I think that is more important than the show. You know, again, now talking about it, Raja just joined the conversation. We spoke about it briefly once. We just have a show. We have no meaning. We have no, pat on the back to people who've done a good service to society. We just have a song and dance. How does that help anybody? Except the actors who are paid a fat check for making a performance there. Sorry, my cat is peeking out in the background. I'll just have my cat.
Maybe she is excited for Anora.
Yeah, but so I think, I'm not so concerned whether the show was good or not. What they did and what they achieved is what is brilliant.
All right, let's also go over Kunal. Can we keep you, Raja? We'll keep you. We're going to keep both of you. Anusha Srinivas Iyer back with us. Anusha, you said something very beautiful earlier when we were talking a little bit about India and where India is and just how India has grown. We spoke about that. Now, in this ceremony, there wasn't too much India representation. Anuja, as we said earlier, didn't get the nod that we were hoping for. But this year and what it has meant for Indian film, that has been huge. Right from All We Imagine Is Light and all of the recognition we saw it getting, to other films that we've seen, like Lapata Ladies, like 12th Fail we were talking about a little earlier. It's been a huge few months for Indian films. How do you see the future of Indian films in the Oscars? Hopefully next year a different story.
We will have an amazing future because they want to have breakfast with us. I mean, as simple as that. We really strive to make a position, but when a Lagan couldn't make it, and after that you had an RRR go, that itself signified a lot of strength and resilience for our country and how the world is perceiving us today.
Yeah.
And today, if the host wants to have breakfast of all the countries with India, well, that's a win by itself.
So, and that too in Hindi. Of course, but tell me something. We're talking about inclusivity. Toya just mentioned about Lapata Ladies. Sad that it missed out on the Oscar race, did not make it to the shortlist. But about the women really hailing and coming out really strong as far as this year's Oscars are concerned. We're talking about Mikey Madison or Anora, the film altogether, which had a female lead, in fact, headlining that entire film. Speaks volumes about which way is the industry really headed.
There's also another very important thing, red carpets were always meant for page 3. And, you know about the industry, a lot of times the clothes get more news than the film by itself. But here it was very different, there were people stood up for firefighters, there were people who actually clicked pictures with them. The Anora, they spoke for the sex workers. It is very important to stand up in a podium where people are listening to you and the entire world is and speak for a cause. Somewhere women have got their own costumes out there which are speaking for, their own films. There have been earlier where they have what they wanted to say against a particular thing. They have made it a part of their costume. So even the red carpet has become a sort of communicator for world rights, for inclusivity, for people who are marginalized. Like she spoke about being an immigrant, that makes a very big difference when you go out there and you have the guts to speak about it. And that makes a difference. You become the leader for a lot of people whose voice you become in that one moment. And then they find that strength in you to come out and talk. Right. Like, for example, a Lapata Ladies, win or not win doesn't matter. The fact that it was in the contention makes a huge difference for women who are still caught behind the gungat, whether they like it or they don't like it. At the end of the day, it's not about the year we are going, we may be going into 2025, into 2030, but still the gunga doesn't made way, So that is what it makes a difference. When such films make it to at least this space, it becomes the voice of millions of women in India.
Absolutely. An interesting thought there. Absolutely. Anusha, thank you so much for sharing in your views and joining us on this Oscar coverage. Toya, it was fun.
It was so much fun. I hope you, our audiences, enjoyed it because I think we had a lot of fun. Right from red carpet coverage to guessing who would win to finally having that moment where it was funny. Right here, we were like, wait, is it Anora? Is it Anora? Oh, it is Anora and it is Mikey. Yeah. So that was really, really exciting. This has been a lot of fun.
Same here.
All right. Okay, with that, we're going to, since we've agreed, it doesn't matter. No. But since we've agreed, it's actually now 9 a.m. It is time now for you to eat your nashta, for us to eat our nashta. So you get some breakfast so we'll get some breakfast. Hopefully next time the Oscars will be entirely in Hindi. With that, we are drawing our show to a close. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Goodbye.
Hello, the excitement here is absolutely unreal. I have never seen this much security in my life. Hollywood Boulevard is completely shut down. No public access. Multiple LAPD vans have been stationed all around, and not just that. Helicopters are circling overhead to oversee security. The entire area is on high alert right now. Inside, the energy is electric. The fan beaches along the red carpet are packed, and the stars have already started arriving. Well, you can just feel the anticipation in the air, and it is also a big day for Los Angeles. Tonight is not just about celebrating Hollywood's best, but also about recognizing the resilience of the city after the devastating wildfires in January. Speaking of unusual, the weather is definitely not what you expect in LA. It is much colder than usual, but that is not stopping anyone's spirits are absolutely high, and we are all set for the biggest night in Hollywood.
So Tita's taking back to the discussion from where it all started, talking about how this year's awards are really different. There are certain precursor awards that are given out by critics right before the main award ceremony. Most of those awards were going to Anora. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. I think Anora and The Brutalist sort of, I think they are leading across categories. Anora is, of course, is like a breath of fresh air, amid all the films that, we have. It could be called a rom-com of sorts. I'm looking forward to, what's in store for Anora and The Brutalist. And I think Conan has really set the ball rolling. I think, he's made us all laugh. I think the jibes that he took at, Sophia or Adam Sandler, his banter with him, and of course the way Cynthia really started, the show with that fabulous, mesmerizing performance. And let's see what's in store. We saw so many Hollywood A-listers already in the audience. There was Timothée Chalamet sitting with his girlfriend Kylie Jenner. I'm sure something really fun is in store for all of us. I cannot wait to see. The first category, by the way, has already been announced. Right. It's gone to Culkin, for A Real Pain, and his speech was really heartwarming. He dedicated the award to his wife. So let's see what's in store.
Him and his wife have been everywhere in social media in the last few days. If you're someone who watched The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, you'd remember who his wife is, Brenda Song. But I just want to very quickly tell our audiences that we've walked over the fashion. We haven't talked about the fashion we've seen over the last few hours. And Titas, Vishal, we'll just take a second to talk about that fashion. So you talked about Timothée Chalamet right now, showing up in a beautiful baby yellow suit, custom made for him, and just really, I think the men's fashion is always so exciting. It's something that's become more exciting in the last few years. There was also, as you said, Cynthia, who just gave the opening number. She turned up in a deep green Louis Vuitton gown. That was really exciting. But usually, Titas, tell us there's stories woven into the fashion. When celebrities choose the designer they wear for a big night, there's a story that comes behind it. They've typically worked with that designer over weeks, over months to choose that look. We just also saw Demi Moore wearing Armani Privé. She was my favorite look. She was probably everyone's favorite look. Looking gorgeous.
What about Zoe Saldana?
In
I
silver.
just saw that. She's looking stunning as well.
So just tell us some of your favorite looks. Tell us if we already know. I know typically designers tell you the story, in the next few hours, they'll put up a post saying how they planned the story. But any looks for you that have stood out to us?
I think I completely agree with you. I think Demi, she really takes the cake. She looks stunning. And Timothy, of course. I love what he's wearing. The color, that is fabulous. What I'm actually looking for.
Well, after the glitz and glamour of Oscar coverage, we are now shifting our gears to bring you the latest updates. Good morning, viewers. Hello and welcome to CNN News 18's Morning News Show. I'm Koina Sharma and I'll be guiding you through all the latest news and updates from in and around the world. First up on top of this bulletin, we're tracking some updates on breaking input coming in from PM's office, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi on World Wildlife Day has posted on social media X, and PM Modi has said that let's reiterate our commitment to protect and preserve the incredible biodiversity of our planet. He said every species plays a vital role. Now let's safeguard their future for generations to come. Well, these are the latest inputs that we're tracking. Now, on World Wildlife Day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is leading the charge, and now let's explore how can we all contribute to protecting our planet's biodiversity. Joining us on the broadcast is our colleague Payal. A very good morning, Payal. Payal, what steps is the Indian government actually taking to protect the wildlife, especially with PM's message reiterating the preservation of wildlife coming right from the top honchos?
Well, the Prime Minister himself has been a huge advocate that you can't mess around with nature and you have to let nature and natural habitat be there for the wild. That's something which, of course, he's very, very elaborately discussed. And very important is that he'll be in the Gir Sanctuary, which is, of course, home of Asia's lions, the biggest crop of Asiatic lions, which is, of course, in his home state, Gujarat as well. And here, Kohina, the Prime Minister is making an appeal to people that every species will play a very important part. And let's not mess around with the future for generations to come. And we should take pride in India's efforts to preserve and protecting wildlife. And essentially, you've seen the kind of efforts that are being made by the government of India. For example, in bringing in the cheetahs from across the globe to India to breed them, basically in places like Khana Park, among the others as well. India has a huge history of their tiger protection drive that has taken its leap and bounds progress under the Modi government. So obviously, an important message coming in for the youngsters in particular, saying that, there is, of course, a wildlife, heritage that we really have, and we should really try our best to protect it. Because at a time when, of course, natural resources are depleting, and, of course, environment is also depleting in a manner that is not suitable to these animals, we should actually make an extra effort to protect their homes.
Right, Payal, thank you so much for bringing in all those details. We'll continue to track more on this report. But having said all of that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also leading the charge and urging us to reiterate our commitment to protecting our planet's precious wildlife. With that, we're now slipping into a very short break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more news and updates on the other side of the segment.
Brought to you.
Hello, the excitement here is absolutely unreal. I have never seen this much security in my life. Hollywood Boulevard is completely shut down, no public access, multiple LAPD vans have been stationed all around, and not just that. Helicopters are circling overhead to oversee security. The entire area is on high alert right now. Inside, the energy is electric. The fan bleachers along the red carpet are packed, and the stars have already started arriving. Well, you can just feel the anticipation in the air. And it is also a big day for Los Angeles. Tonight is not just about celebrating Hollywood's best, but also about recognizing the resilience of the city after the devastating wildfires in January. Speaking of unusual, the weather is definitely not what you expect in LA. It is much colder than usual, but that is not stopping anyone's spirits are absolutely high, and we are all set for the biggest night in Hollywood.
So Tata, taking back to the discussion from where it all started, talking about how this year's awards are really different. There are certain precursor awards that are given out by critics right before the main award ceremony. Most of those awards were going to Anora. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. I think Anora and the Brutalists sort of, I think they are leading across categories. Anora is, of course, is like a breath of fresh air, amid all the films that, we have. It could be called a rom-com of sorts. I'm looking forward to, what's in store for Anora and the Brutalist. And I think Conan has really set the ball rolling. I think, he's made us all laugh. I think the jibes that he took at, Sophia or Adam Sandler, his banter with him, and of course the way Cynthia really started, the show with that fabulous, mesmerizing performance. And let's see what's in store. We saw so many Hollywood A-listers already in the audience. There was Timothy Chalamet sitting with his girlfriend Kylie Jenner. I'm sure something really fun is in store for all of us. I cannot.
Hello and welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Well, now we are tracking some breaking inputs where the political world is now meeting the sports world, where Congress spokesperson Shama Mohammed has now sparked a controversy for calling Indian skipper Rohit Sharma fat for being a sportsman. She's even branded his captaincy the most unimpressive in the country's history. She went on to question his legacy compared to Indian cricketing greats like Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, MS Dhoni, Virat Kohli and Kapil Dev. The BJP has now hit out at the Congress over this entire remark. These are the latest inputs that we are tracking from the ground, where Congress has mocked the Indian captain Rohit Sharma, calling him fat for a sports person. Now let's hear out what the Congress leader had to say.
The comment made on Rohit Sharma's body not only falls in the category of fat shaming and body shaming, which should not be done, but Congress says that his track record is unimpressive. Here is a party whose captain Rahul Gandhi has given them 90 ducks, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 6 times in Delhi. We have seen the performance and track record of their own captain, that 90 elections have been lost by them under his captaincy. The Congress party can't stand that India is winning matches. When India wins, and we have won against Pakistan, we have won against New Zealand, it seems that Congress party is very upset that India is winning the matches. And this is the negativity and the hatred for everything that is celebrated as the victory of India. They want to fight Indian state. They want to insult India's victories.
Well, joining us live is our colleague Sharon Elizabeth to weigh in on the entire controversy. A very good morning, Sharon. Sharon, can you tell us more about the Shama Mohammed's comment and how are the cricket fans actually reacting to this entire controversy?
Well, there's a lot of backlash, obviously, because the kind of statement that has been made by Congress spokesperson Shama Mohammed, because remember, it is a very random and bizarre statement that is coming in from a political spokesperson. She, in fact, last evening is when she tweeted about it, and she says that Rohit Sharma, and I quote, Rohit Sharma is fat for a sportsman, need to lose weight, and of course, the most unimpressive captain India has ever had. So this is, of course, not going to go down well with the Rohit Sharma fans, the cricket fans, and more importantly, the BJP has in fact attacking the Congress party on the statement that has been made by Shama Mohammed. They are in fact questioning the leadership of Rahul Gandhi, saying that Congress party has lost at least 90 elections and under the leadership of Rahul Gandhi. So how can a spokesperson of the Congress party go ahead and call someone as his captaincy as unimpressed? And not just that, we are seeing Radhika Khera of the BJP also in fact alleging that this is nothing but fat shaming that is being done. And in the tenure of the UPA, the sportsmen were never, recognized. They were never given the appreciation or credit for bringing glory to the India is the big allegation that is coming in from the
Jagger go on stage, which was fascinating. I was like, wait, why is Mick Jagger on stage? I think he's actually giving out an award, I think, for best song, but we'll
Why
just
do I feel I'm getting the short end of the stick here? I need an Oscar screen right here because Toya's screen is right there. I can't look away. So right. I'm really keen on knowing what is happening at the ceremony.
And who's on stage? Yeah. And who's on stage? And it's just so exciting to see a legend like that return, to give out an award like that. Wait, let's go back to Ricky to understand a little bit more. Ricky, I know we're coming to you with questions that are wide-ranging. You're a composer, so I want to kind of return to your roots with this next question. You were talking to us a little bit about the trickiness that comes with trying to compose the score for a milestone film. So something like a Wicked, where you actually have well-known songs, your audience can actually sing along, because Wicked, and our audiences may or may not know this, it's based on a musical. It's also the precursor to The Wizard of Oz. So it's something that's been part of Americana for years and years. And so in no way was that a surprise. So you were talking a little bit about the balance there. But tell us a little bit more, Ricky, about composing the score, composing music when it isn't such an obvious film. So Wicked has song pieces, but something like an Anora,
where music plays a much subtler role. What would you say there? Or Dune? Dune's soundtrack in particular was talked about. The sounds where, you know, in Dune you have the creature that moves through the sand, the sound that it makes, that became iconic. Talk to us a little bit about what goes into that.
So in these cases, one has to just support the movie. That's the most important thing. One has to look at what the vision of the director is and support that vision.
Emilia Perez is just one best song. We just want to tell our audience.
Wow.
We just want to tell our audiences that a song from there. But yeah, do go ahead.
And Vicky, you do share your thoughts about that because that's another win for Emilia Perez.
Yeah, just one more in the long list.
Yeah.
So now it looks like it's neck to neck with Anora and Emilia Perez. So because now all eyes on the major award, that is the Best Picture award. Let's see what's going to happen over there. But both have got equal chances, in my opinion. But coming back to the score, one has to just support the director's vision and support the director's story. So sometimes the visuals itself and the dialogues itself convey a lot of the emotions and a lot of the story. So the music is just used as a supporting element to support all of that. Or sometimes the music is used as an overpowering element to bring in the magnitude, to bring in the scale, and to bring in the beauty of the movie. Like, for example, what happened with Dune. Even though Dune does not have too many hummable pieces like what you would have in a Jurassic Park or a Indiana Jones or a Pirates of the Caribbean, it was more about music used as a sound design element to elevate the film and to overwhelm the audiences with emotion. So music can be used in different styles and different ways. And it's always open to interpretation as to how to use it.
And Edward, about this latest win for Emilia Perez, first of all, I would obviously want you to weigh in on this, the kind of awards that the film is going on winning despite the controversy. And I know we end up talking about the controversy when talking about the 13 nominations for Emilia Perez, and they have ended up winning some of the big ones so far. Your views?
Well, yeah, you know what they say, there's no bad publicity. In fact, maybe bad publicity can be the best kind in some cases. I think the judging is just going on the merits of the film, and not looking at anything else perhaps. But Emilia Perez is definitely looking like the strongest film right now.
It really is, and it's exciting. The big question obviously is, will Emilia Perez notch in that, it had 13 nominations, will it notch in those numbers? And one thing it seems like everyone has agreed on, the reporters who've joined us, the experts earlier, is that it's possibly lost out on best film because of this controversy.
Yes.
So that's still going to be interesting.
But yeah.
So you have Brutalist, I think, that is leading the charge. You have Anora too.
We will also talk about Conclave because so far
we've
nobody's talking about Conclave, surprisingly.
Although it is a tightly made, excellent drama, we'll talk a little bit more about it and just what it's made on, because it's about the process of choosing a pope. It's a very, very interesting film. But we'll see you in just a few moments. The Breakfast Club's coverage of the Oscars continues right here with Griha and I. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
We have just seen how Zoe Saldana has won the award for Best Supporting Actress, given that really, really emotional speech at the Oscar stage. Toya, did it remind you in any way to that speech of Halle Berry's when she won the Best Actor?
Oh, how beautiful.
For
and I love that comparison because when she won the award, it was historic, obviously for different reasons. Yes. I think with Halle, we were so excited for her to win, and then she went on. She, of course, looked like a total babe and, had that award in her hand, and it was a tearful speech. Zoe, actually, that comparison between the two of them has been made before. But this, I think, the fact that she chose to highlight a political note, it was very pointed.
Yes.
And to be honest, with our audiences, this is the most you're going to see politics brought in. Politics stays away from the Oscars largely, apart from larger conversations around diversity that we've seen.
If you don't have a Meryl Streep, that is winning the award.
But apart from diversity and inclusion that we've seen such a large conversation around, and we've seen the Oscars address it over the last few years in a big way. But this might be the most symbolic moment in that sense that we might see tonight. So,
but what you have to say, Toya, since we were on political speeches or anything remotely political that's being said on the Oscar stage, very recently we saw something unprecedented happen at the White House. Do you think any of that would find mention in any way at the Oscars?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I can see your smile right now. But the only reason I don't think so is I think that actors, cinematographers, filmmakers, they work their lives for this moment. So I think even when they do put out a message, they are very calculated and particular that even the message doesn't, overtake their own.
Just like that.
Right here. Thank you.
There we go.
We're right here. Amazing.
Hi, ladies. To the food. Yeah. There we go. There we go.
Right here.
Oh, here comes sorry. Here comes.
Hello. Let me see your breath, sir. Hey. One more.
Right in the camera. Right in the camera.
You're beautiful. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
And one more here, sir. Give me that. Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
Can I get one right here?
Milk it. Milk it. Nice.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Oh, wait. Can we get?
Here we go. Oh yeah.
Can we do a quick photo? Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Somebody else. Come up the stairs. Come up the stairs. Come up the stairs.
Oh, yeah. Quick photo. Yes. Let's see the breath. Hi. Gorgeous. You're
All right.
beautiful. Thank you.
Here you go, big winner.
Right here.
Hey. Come over here. Let me show that. Let me see that then.
Bring it, bring it.
Yeah, yeah.
Point it out again. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Hello.
guy color timed the movie. This is Mate. He color timed the movie. Sorry. Yeah. That's nice. This guy is a superstar. Right here. Superstar.
Wonderful.
Right here. This is the superstar.
Very nice, guys.
I love you. Lord, I'm so proud of you. Oh, yeah, there you go. There he is.
All right. Get them together. Get them together. Let's get to go. Get them together. Get those up. Make way for Conan.
Quick photo, guys. Hi.
Conan, how are you?
How are you looking at?
Conan, how are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
Doing all right.
I know people around me were like, no. They all love the movie, but they don't get like my reaction.
Do it now. Look at Conan's little entourage.
Look at it! Look at how
Hey, let's.
I'm so happy to be here.
Did she read it? Or they left? Gonna get the two. Academy. It's for all the ice. Okay, go.
It's on the ice. That's right, it's on the ice.
All right, I'll take a picture of you guys. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll take a picture. How are you guys doing? Where are you living?
We're in Brentwood.
In an apartment. Where?
We're
Gorham and Westwood.
Yeah.
We're moving into Rocky. Yeah, like
we're moving into Helena, like pretty close.
We're available every day to come.
Yeah, we're really close. Okay, great.
Welcome to Hollywood Boulevard. like a wind tunnel.
Oh, and I felt that through this coat, so I know exactly.
Yeah. Well,
I'm also a baby.
even
Anything under 80.
even the summertime, sometimes the premiere get cold because it's a wind tunnel.
They were watching a soccer game with me, and they were stopping Arsenal. Right, and he was being funny. Wait, can I take a picture of you? It's just so funny on you. They brought her up. Here, everybody get it. You guys, I'm a family. Chrissy will like you.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay, good.
Where's the rest of the You gotta go. Alright, are you gonna go walk? Alright, bye guys.
I'm not bitter. Oh!
And I tried to tell them about 4 years ago when they started doing this for me. I mean, all this soft apple, especially the spots on it. Balance things.
Hide that water sponsorship. Let's get a shot of you guys.
Wait, with the guys.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Give me the, look up here, sir.
Right here. There you go. Amazing.
Oh, it's not? Yeah, the one, exactly. That's my light. I think. Just turn it to the right. Excuse sir.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's right. I mean, not like anybody's coming, but...
The best actor and actress haven't come up yet, right?
I don't think so. For some reason, I think they're too short to be in theater for a while with them and go around doing interviews and stuff like that. So yeah, it takes them a while to get out of it. Here comes somebody.
Right here, right here.
Oh, here we go. Can we
There
see
we
that?
go.
Hey, folks,
Yes.
can we see those?
Right here, right here. Beautiful, you won. Yeah. Woohoo! How's that feeling, huh? Heavy? You have to carry that around the rest of your life.
I just walked in front. It's funny, I go this way to leave, but... Oh, now I can...
Yep, of course. No, not yet. I don't know if he's coming. No, but I haven't seen him yet. Who's your director? Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't seen Tarantino. But yeah, he may or may not come, I'm not sure. What's your name? Daniel. Nice to meet you. Not here, but for the governor's ball, yes. Hi. Thank you guys. Sorry. Oh, no, you're good, you're good. Very good. Yeah, how about you? Are you? You from France? Very nice. Okay, very good. Going to France this summer. I'm gonna stay in Paris.
I literally turned my back and was like, I'm gonna go die now. And the girl, she laughed out. Don't die!
What is it? I'm going to get this. Oh. Yeah. Amazing. I want to go to Annecy as well.
I saw her on the
It's just extra like shit. Yeah, it's more like stuff.
I know. Because I was like, this is good. No, that is not. It looks like it.
Maybe it's
Oh wait,
not.
there's Yulia and whatever his name is. Oh. Oh, she just wanted to.
Got him.
I was staring at her waiting for that first guy. I'm like,
Layers clothing.
Okay, that's one down. That's one we haven't seen much.
yeah, or Sean Baker.
You know what? I think this is taken to a whole interview.
Oh yeah, they have
I was doing two things at once. Survey my area. I also need.
How are you? Oh, look, I'm good. You were smart. Very smart. Nice to see you. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. he goes. There he goes.